Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. But before we officially get into the video, if you absolutely love the New York Knicks like I do, make sure you click the subscribe button down below and you light up that post notification bell right next to it so you do not miss any future content on this channel. And if anyone's looking for a Nathan Knight video, I'm going to have a Nathan Knight video coming very soon because I did not want it to just be a news video. I also wanted to showcase what he did well out there on the floor for the Minnesota Timberwolves as of late, and also what he didn't do as well. So I wanted to really give you guys a balanced review like the Isaiah Roby video, and I feel like that's definitely going to be some camp bodies when it comes to training camp, when it comes to preseason, who's going to impress, who's going to come into training camp in shape. So I think that's definitely a matchup to look out for. But we're going to be talking about Evan Fournier, the offseason after we ended up making it to the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. We took on the Hawks. Disappointment in the first round. It was very disappointing, but it was still an awesome feeling going to the playoffs and getting that atmosphere. And the Knicks, they decided not to pay Reggie Bullock. Reggie Bullock obviously brought it on defense. He was a good catch and shoot guy. He really caught fire at the second half of the season, but they're like, we really like you, Bullock, but we're going to move on. We're not going to pay you. We went on to pay Evan Fournier, who's definitely not as good as Reggie Bullock defensively or solid defensively like a Reggie Bullock. Evan Fournier is not that, but we knew he could shoot the heck out of the basketball. He's definitely a seasoned shooter of the basketball that brings veteran leadership. He's been to the playoffs, even if they've been like very mediocre and like pretty much a one and done when the Magic have been in the playoffs. And he showed a little step back ability, a little bit of more creation with the touch around the rim. May not be a crazy athlete, but we went on to sign him to a 4-year, $73 million contract, and that's some pretty good bread there. And a lot of people are going to say that's not an overpay. Have you seen the market nowadays, especially in that position? You could say he deserved that contract, but I don't care. Like any certain amount of money, like close to $73 million, when you have a season like this coming up that he's set to make $18.8 million for a player like that type of player that doesn't bring much defensively, is solid score. That is like a lot of money for someone that's not a versatile Swiss Army knife type of player. No shade at Evan Fournier, but I was excited about the offense because I thought his offensive game was underrated. And there was a lot of games his first year. Like he had some good games. The Boston game had us excited. It's like career highs first night against Boston or opening night, like just the games in general when he had the, I believe, 41-point game or the 40-point game versus Boston. So he went off against Boston. He did show the ability again to shoot the three ball. He broke John Starks' record for the most three-pointers in a season by a New York Knick, but he would try to do too much with the basketball. And he would try playing a game that's not really his game and didn't consistently move the ball within the offense. And obviously that was a struggle year. We didn't make it to the playoffs. That year was honestly just a wash, in my opinion. I did not like what I saw from the New York Knicks before this past season of what we showcased in the regular season. But yeah, he brought no defense, would try to do too much. And I'm like, this contract may not be worth it. And then obviously this past season, things change. The New York Knicks, I would say they were very, even when Evan Fournier got benched, we were still mediocre. We definitely caught our stride when it came to the second half of the season. But we saw some changes, like Evan Fournier got off to a shaky start shooting the basketball. And, if his three ball is not falling on a consistent basis, the defense isn't there. The consistent IQ of moving the ball isn't there. You try to do too much and take these unnecessary deep twos. And Tibbs did something that we probably wouldn't expect because we thought he was just going to be strictly married to Evan Fournier throughout the season and try to ride and die with him because he's more experienced. But Quentin Grimes enters the lineup. And it was another season, like, he would have games that he shot it well from three. He definitely was up and down for a second year player, still young. But we loved the tenacity defensively. We did love his ability to drive off of those closeouts that Fournier wasn't really able to do. He didn't have that lethal first step. But yeah, he did have games that he shot the three ball well. Obviously, this past season he shot over league average. I was like, Fournier may have these games that we know we're getting from Fournier, but there may be more upside with Grimes because he's a younger player, so he ends up being completely out of the rotation. It got like, as at first when he wasn't playing well, he moved to the bench, the second unit, and then it was just like shifted right to the bench. They shortened the rotation. Derrick Rose was moved there as well. And in season, he was actually pretty professional. He didn't complain about his role at all. But that year, the first year he was with the Knicks, though, and Evan Fournier, don't forget when he blamed his performance on a bad steak. I'll never forget that. That was just truly embarrassing. But there was reports coming out like after the season. I guess he was like, if I'm gonna want out or if I'm kind of demanding a trade here, I want it to be like when the season is over. It's not official that he's requested a trade, but there's been some signs that he would say like to Derrick Rose, like, what are we doing here? Like, if you're trying to get my trade value up, I'm not saying he said this to the organization, but these reports that came out that he would say like, if they're trying to get like my trade value up, why are they not playing me? Like, I'm a shooter. I need to be in rhythm. And Evan Fournier's like motivated. I guess he wants to prove the Knicks wrong and show that he can excel in a system, which leads to this report that Evan Fournier has drawn trade interest from the Spurs. And if there was a team to trade with, I would actually like this. I know a lot of people look at Evan Fournier's contract bad right now, but it's actually in a position that it's not crazy. It's not crazy bad right now. This upcoming season, he definitely is going to be making some money. He's going to be making $18.8 million. But after that, there's a club option of $19 million. So depending on if it's with the Knicks, the Spurs, another team, they could decline that and they could let him walk into unrestricted free agency. So Evan Fournier would have the perfect connections. He goes to the Spurs. The Spurs want to probably bring in a veteran. They've popped there. They want to be competitive. I feel like as soon as Wembanyama's there, no matter the personnel, it's like, we know we're going to get a good amount of years, like good play from Wembanyama, but how many good years? Is he going to stay healthy? I wonder if that's a part of the Spurs mindset. But you bring in a veteran who's been in this league, has some playoff experience for sure, has shown adversity, like I wasn't playing well, got moved to the bench. You could teach that to the young guys. But mostly I think, I'm not even just thinking of the straight up French connection. Like, I'm not even thinking of it from like a French perspective. Obviously, him and Wembanyama know each other through that basketball, and just Wembanyama looked up to a guy, Fournier, because Fournier is from France, played basketball. But they have the same agent as well. So you could be trying to trade for an Evan Fournier, not just for the production standpoint, but also like from a relationship standpoint, make sure our number one pick is happy. We have the same agent. It'll be better connections and it'll be better for business as well. So they're getting a good shooter, not a good defensive player. But I feel Pop has more of a system offensively than Tibbs that is more strictly based on moving the ball and more off-ball movement that I think Fournier might actually thrive in compared to the New York Knicks system. I'm not blaming the Knicks system on like Fournier this past season. I thought he did try to do way too much with the basketball, and obviously I didn't like what he brought defensively. You know, Tibbs is a defensive coach as well. You have to keep that in mind. But I honestly think that would be a good situation for Fournier, like I mentioned, the relationships and how it would be utilizing the offense. But it's like, how would that trade go down? And I was thinking of a trade. I'm not a complete cap nerd. And I think two players are kind of similar, kind of the money they're making. This one player for the San Antonio Spurs, Doug McDermott, who's a shooter, former Knick, can move good without the ball. Not a fantastic defender, but has more strength than an Evan Fournier. But honestly, would like Doug McDermott for the Knicks. I'm not saying he would play like a ginormous role. But the way their contracts are set up, there's like a $7 million difference for what they're making this upcoming year, but then they're free agents. So it could be a thing, oh, we could swap these guys. Contracts are kind of similar. Fournier makes more money, but it's just going to be like a trial experiment for both these teams. Like, oh, what do we have to lose? If McDermott doesn't play well, all right, he's entering free agency. If Fournier doesn't play well for us, we could decline his team option, and then we'll see what happens in free agency. So I feel it could be a tryout thing. And I wonder if his contract, Fournier's contract of making $18 million this upcoming season, I feel the club options shouldn't be looked at because they'll just be like, did he play well this season? We'll decline it, or we'll actually go into that and I have him make $19 million. But even if he plays solid, $19 million is a pretty good chunk, honestly. But is his $18 million like going to make him spend a first round pick or throw in a second round draft pick? I don't think his contract's that crazy right now, but obviously the first time he signed it was like 17 mils first year, 18 mil, you're going to have that for 3 straight seasons even if he is solid. But McDermott knows how to play without the ball. He could obviously shoot it. He's a sneaky athlete. Someone that's not afraid of the moment. And I feel that would be cool to have a little homecoming with Doug McDermott. But I do think Evan Fournier is going to be traded. Just due to these reports, he seems frustrated and wants to find a role somewhere else. And Fournier will have the connections with Wembanyama. Let me know down below your thoughts. Peace out, y'all.